All right, I'm going to summarize the Grok 3 announcement here. I've got some notes here on my phone. You joined me for the live stream. I just want to say thank you so much. I know this was kind of an unplanned thing, but I think we had a good number of people actually show up and good conversation about it. One of the things that stood out pretty greatly to me on this screen is how much of a gap there was. In particular, this is the one I care about the most. But what I found is like these two are my best two for coding, like actual day to day. So I'm very curious, like how this is actually going to work in like real use cases, not just use cases where you're one-shotting like a Python script. So I thought that was interesting. Another point that they said is this is which I think is insane. So 10x more training than Grok 2, which is crazy. They talked a lot about how big the cluster was that they built. They talked a lot about the electrical problems that they had to work through, the balancing the power load, how quick they had to get it up and running. And they originally did not want to even build their own cluster, but instead they were kind of forced into it. Otherwise, if they relied on someone else, it was going to take like 18 months to 2 years. They also announced what is kind of funnily named, I don't know if you can read this, Big Brain, which is their reasoning model, the reasoning version of Grok 3. And on it, the demos that they showed actually seemed really good. It seemed like it did a really good job of kind of thinking, and they actually ran some things in the background and generated some, I would say, some average things. I wish they would have done some better demos, honestly, than what they did, and maybe they just got a bad result from it. But one of the ones that they did is they actually did something where they wanted to combine Tetris with a Bejeweled, and they got a game where basically it was Tetris, but you had to match three colors, and all the pieces were different colors. So I thought that was kind of interesting. The other thing to kind of call out is they did announce Grok 3 Mini. So there you can kind of see that here. So there's Grok 3, the big one, and the Grok 3 Mini. So that'll be worth watching. And then here you can see on this piece here, they've actually got deep search, which I was actually surprised with. It did seem to do a really good job. I would say, they only showed us one, actually two examples, and I would say it probably did significantly better than the Gemini deep research, and maybe slightly worse than the OpenAI deep research. Hard to tell exactly without me getting my hands on it. So the other thing worth calling out is you have to pay $40 a month to play with this now. It will be rolling out to other users over time, but if you want it today, like right now, you have to pay $40 a month for Premium Plus. And on top of it, API access is weeks away, which is unfortunate because that's what I actually care about the most. I know this isn't what everyone cares about, but it's what I care about because I really want to be able to test this in my day-to-day coding that I do. All right, and then I'd say in the Q&A part, there really weren't that great of questions, to be honest. I think the one was like the voice assistant. So they talked a little bit about voice assistant coming soon. Again, they didn't give a firm date on that because they were like, they need to get it better. They said it's going to come in like an early state, which means it's probably going to be rough to start with. So Grok 2 will probably be open sourced a couple months after Grok 3 is kind of stable. So I thought that was also an interesting point. Overall, I'd give this presentation I don't know, it's an okay grade, right? Like the demos were, I'd say like okay, maybe even below okay. Maybe that's being a little bit too nice there. I thought the presentation of like the benchmarks and stuff, I thought that was nice, but I really don't care that much about benchmarks anymore. I care about like real coding examples. What I would love to see it do is actually work with existing code because that's what I care about the most. And I would have loved more information on the API pricing, which I know they're not ready to probably release that yet, but I'm expecting this model to be relatively expensive. And the reason I think it's going to be relatively expensive is take a look at like what Grok 2 is currently. Is like this isn't a cheap model to actually run. And I'm betting like Grok 3 is probably going to be higher than this, and maybe Mini comes in. Maybe it comes in slightly below this. Maybe Mini is half this price. So I guess if I were to make a prediction, Mini is probably going to be a $1 and a $5. And I bet you Grok 3 is going to be the full one. It's going to probably be a $5 and a $15. And then if you put on Big Brain, which I still find hilarious, I bet you that price is going to pop up to maybe like $10 and I don't even know, maybe like $40 for this is what 1,000,000 tokens. I hope I'm wrong on this because R1 has kind of set the precedence of a much cheaper reasoning model. But if you look at the price of O1 in particular, it's higher than this. So this would come in under O1, and this would be kind of like on par with Claude today. So I could see them matching Claude's pricing. Ideally, I think if Grok 3 were going to come out and it would be like this price, I would actually be pretty happy about that if it was good at coding. But honestly, it's tough because even Gemini Flash 2.0 is just a fraction of that with like a 10 cents and a 40 cents. And if it's not significantly better than Flash 2.0, I don't know how they're going to compete on the API side. And I would love to be able to have another model that I can like really test and use in production and report out on it. And I'd say the final thing is they now have a website, grok.com, which I'm super happy about. I hate that I had to go to X to actually play with Grok. This is the interface that I've wanted. You can upload files. I'm assuming that interface that they showed us before, where you actually see Big Brain and you can actually select Grok 3 and Grok Mini. That'll all come in here at some point. I'm super excited that they actually launched this because I think this is going to make a big difference to me to actually want to use this, even like testing day-to-day stuff. Because I don't know, I don't want to get distracted with social media stuff when I'm coding. Like I want to actually be focused on what I'm doing and not get pulled off onto something else. And I think that about sums it up. I would love to know you guys' thoughts on this. Again, I'm probably cautiously optimistic, maybe about neutral on this model until I can get my hands on it. These do look very interesting here, so we can kind of see the Grok scores. What's also interesting is the reasoning delta here. You can see here, like getting it to actually think longer. But again, we've got some of that already, and I feel like O3 is probably going to come out and match it. And to be honest with you, I've learned benchmarks don't mean a whole lot to me, and I wish they did, but they really don't. Anyway, I hope this summary has been helpful for you guys. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, a ton of people actually did, so I wouldn't be surprised if you already saw it, and you just want to kind of leave your comments on what you thought of this event, down below. I would love to start a conversation with you about it. And if you want to join me for my next live stream, I'm going to try to like set one up periodically. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can kind of know when I go live. I want to kind of hit some of these things a little bit more live. And so I just had so much fun talking with people during the live stream. I totally want to do that again. And I want to get better at it too. I want to get my audio set up right. And I got a lot of feedback from people today, and I think I'm going to continue improving that. All right, guys, until next time, see ya.